Greetings, YouTube. Today I come bearing news that once again, social conservatives are wrong. And I bring this to you on two fronts. First is an article from theatlantic.com. It's a bit of a long-form piece. I do suggest reading it. It's good, but it's not a little blurb like you see in a lot of newspapers nowadays. It's actually someone put some thought into this one. But there's the article's about how the social conservative efforts to restrict or remove civil liberties from the gay community have failed, and why they've failed. And there's a couple of pertinent passages I would like to quote here. There's two paragraphs. Interestingly, there's no indentations on the paragraphs. I thought that was standard form. Okay. But what happened in Arizona and elsewhere suggests that this time the social conservatives badly misread the situation. The Arizona bill ignited a raucous debate in the media, with one side claiming the issue at hand was discrimination, while the other insisted religious liberty was at stake. And in the end, lawmakers and the public decided that they care more about protecting gays from discrimination than protecting florists and bakers. In the wake of the Arizona debate, 69% of Americans said businesses shouldn't be allowed to refuse service to gays for religious reasons, including 56% of Republicans. In Arizona, 72% of supported Brewer's veto. There is no sign of reversal in the trend of increasing support for gay marriage, which stood at 59% of Americans in a recent ABC News Washington Post poll. So that's 59% of the American population supports granting marital equality to all people in this nation. And that's very important. Again, another passage. This is a direct quote. Our opponents have picked the wrong argument, Mark Solomon, the political director of Freedom to Marry, told me. This is about discrimination, and it's an argument our country's been through before about whether it's appropriate for businesses to decide not to serve certain people because of who they are. When you put an open for business sign on your door, you're open for business to everyone. Now, one of the things I've encountered here on YouTube repeatedly, particularly amongst the libertarian set, both the big L party members and small L, those that lean in that direction, is the idea that they feel that a private business is just that, a private business, and that a business owner should have the right to discriminate against anyone they choose, and that the free market will eradicate these people because they won't get as much business as businesses that don't discriminate. Now, this is absolutely factually incorrect. We had this in the past. We had this situation, and those businesses flourished. They functioned quite well with signs on their doors that said, no blacks allowed, or whites only, to exclude Asian and Hispanic people as well. Alright? There were even places that wouldn't allow Jewish and Irish people. Okay? Those businesses flourished. We've tried this model. It didn't work. The free market did not eradicate racism or bigotry. Bigotry and racism existed before the existence of any government. The government is not the source of these things. The government is not enforcing these things. The government reflects what the people want. And there have been times in our nation when people have wanted to be discriminatory against segments of society. And now there are people, and particularly in libertarian school of thought, that want to return to that era. They want private businesses to be able to put signs on their door that say no gay people allowed. But that quote is just the point. When you open a public business, you are open to all of the public. Everyone. You don't get to pick and choose. That's what that business license on your wall says. You are a public business. You are open to everyone. That's what public business means. Yes, you may own the property it's on. You may own the building sitting on the property. You may own all the stuff in the store. But if you want to sell to the public, you must sell to all of the public. And that's the bottom line. And if you're a baker making cakes or a photographer taking pictures of weddings, you can't discriminate against people based on a class. And more places in America, the LGBTQ community is being protected as a protected class because bigots have created that dynamic. The bigots are the source of all these problems, folks. It is not minority groups seeking special privileges. No, they want the same rights everyone else has. It is the bigots that have created the environment that forces minority groups to go to court and sue people to say, we want the same rights as everyone else has. If that was the default state, we wouldn't need any of these rulings. None of these rulings would exist. But it is the bigots out there that create the environment that forces these lawsuits to take place. If the bigots stopped doing that, these lawsuits wouldn't be necessary. Now, I'm going to end this on a much more positive note. A judge in Michigan has overturned Michigan's ban on same-sex marriage. Now, there has been a stay put in place, so they cannot begin issuing marriage licenses. But the law itself has been overturned. So now it gets bumped up to the next level court system, which I don't know which district they're in. I don't know where that falls. But that's a positive thing. That's another state inching its way towards equality. As it is now, over a third of Americans live in states that have marital equality. We're getting closer and closer to that tipping point of once we break that 50% mark, folks, then we will know that social conservatives have completely lost on this one. And it's looking like that. It's going to happen within the next few years. I predict that within the next decade, that by 2024, marital equality will be the law in America. Just as Loving versus Virginia showed that you cannot discriminate against people who want to get married within interracial groups. You can't ban that. You can't ban marriage because of your sex, gender, or orientation. And I'm looking forward to that day. And the day that happens, I promised a friend of mine that I would actually do a happy dance, and I would broadcast it here on YouTube. And even though I will embarrass the crap out of myself because I am the whitest white boy that ever lived and cannot dance, I will do that. Heck, I sat at a diner yesterday with a paper hat in my head because the server thought it was funny and put it on top of my head, and I just thought I'd play along. We need more wins like Michigan. We need to drive the message home to social conservatives across the world. Once again, you have lost.